Hello everyone, and welcome to Sweden, the most superior, excellent, and professional country on earth. At least when it comes to chopping off men's genitals and sacrificing them on an altar to their old pagan gods. Sweden's official state board of equality presented the following reasoning in a recently published handbook on domestic abuse, and I quote, "When a woman beats a man, it should be classified as men's violence against women," end of quote. It's actually fascinating to follow the stinky trail of logic they presented in the state-funded manual on domestic abuse, because the reasoning basically goes, the patriarchy. Men's patriarchal systemic violence towards women is an umbrella term, which includes violence in relationships, honor violence, but also sexual harassment and the commercialization of the female body through advertisements, media, and pornography, end of quote. Okay, so apparently you, my dear viewer, you jacking off way too much in your sad millennial marinated isolation somehow explains why Emmett can't stop getting drunk and beating his wife, who also happens to be his sister. Our G-Chucks. Jolly G-Chucks. I mean, it's just not fair, now is it? Which also makes it obvious how feminist it is. Third wave feminism that we are dealing with now in the form of a widespread social virus is based on the ideology of intersectionality. Basically, you want to think of it as the Super Mario Kart of oppression. They came up with this video game-esque system of oppression where white people's oppression of non-white people needs to be considered in the light of men's oppression against women. So the whole point is that it's not enough to have a race war, we're gonna have to have a gender war as well, signed Karl Marx, the filthy fat doofus. You know, you're gonna have to forgive me for the inebriated glimpse of enlightenment right here, but I'm finding it really hilarious how the practitioners of social justice ideology can't comprehend that the fight against racism might be made a bit more difficult when the men are stuck arguing about kitchen duty with the women. And I'm just barely kidding here, okay? I just look at this official quote from the state manual. By including the term violence in close relationships into the superior term men's violence towards women, we are also including violence in same-sex relationships, so well as women's violence against men in close relations, end of quote. Does any of this make sense to you? No? Okay, good. That means your brain still works. The department manager responsible for this handbook, Sweden's national strategist in preventing men's violence against women, which is just ironic at this point considering how aggravating you are, lady, she says in an interview that she is exceptionally proud of how well formulated this specific part of the manual is. She's actually proud of this word vomit that is presented as some kind of higher knowing, and if you don't get it, well, don't worry, she has full understanding for you. She is the social justice Buddha after all, because unlike her, you don't work with these highly complicated matters. So of course you are not gonna understand why it makes sense to blame men for being beaten by women. Yeah, that's a direct quote. That's her response to the criticism this manual has received. She's proud, okay? She's proud. Say it loud. She's proud. So let me just use my war refugee migrant spider sense bullshit detector to spell it out for you. Sweden's official policy when men get beaten and abused by their partners is to blame the patriarchy for it, aka blame men for it. Because you see, men are also supposedly at fault when lesbians beat each other up, because why not expand the blaming list while we're already at it? And they present these absurd rationalizations solely so they can defend a generalization about how men's violence against women is the true systemic problem. All of this uniquely Swedish absurdity should be viewed in the light of a government decision made in 2019, when Sweden's parliament officially vowed to combat destructive male norms. violence. The government then said, among other things, quote, "It is destructive male norms that lead to violence and abuse, and the violence of men is one of our biggest social problems in current time." End of quote. Following this, we've had social workers and politicians go so far as to blame Sweden's uniquely grotesque gang violence and increase in record shootings on traditional perceptions of masculinity, with the city of Stockholm taking on official feminist measures to prevent crime, such as sending nannies to help out parents in the ghetto, as well as combating traditional perceptions of masculinity which are at fault for this deadly violence. Or so they say. And at this point, two separate notions are going through my head. Number one, how is it possible for Swedes to believe that traditional masculinity looks like Billy the Kid? No, it looks more like Clint Eastwood, being the one capturing the villain. There has never existed a traditional idea of masculinity which dictates that being a predator is what makes you a man. It's actually the complete opposite. Being strong enough to act as a protector is what makes a man. And this leads us to number two. How is it possible for Swedes to believe that any form of masculinity exists in Sweden? No less traditional forms of masculinity. Are you kidding me? I could present to you the most objective research on cultures on about how Sweden is the bar none number one. Above all other countries, it is the most feminine culture on Earth. But being the foreigner, I never needed research to figure all this out, now did I? Because it's really just enough to notice how you Swedish people act when someone makes a joke. They think that someone got molested. In Sweden, making a point too obvious is considered the same as touching someone's behind. But oh no, forgive me for being such a negative foreigner. I'm sure that I'm just completely unwarranted in my critique. Just too much of an edgy cynic, right? I mean, thank God Sweden decided to challenge gender norms so far back as 2019. Because imagine how much crime we would have by now if they hadn't. Imagine what could have happened if they hadn't. Oh no, thank God we haven't seen even more and more violence just increase over the years. Because male norms were dealt with. Unhand my bosom, you bastard. Oh. The simple fact of the matter is that actual science shows you male overrepresentation in violence is best explained through biological factors, not ideas surrounding a patriarchy. I will be happy to link my sources in the video description, where you will find illuminating reads proving my point, but for now, let's just settle for calling a spade, will we? Put simply, it is extremely concerning that Sweden bases all their work on combating domestic abuse on ideology and not actual science. This will only be likely to fail those who are stuck in such horrible toxic relationships, and it only serves as a clear warning to what can happen when you allow yourself to become addicted to ideas. They cloud your reality and make the wicked think they're saviors. In essence, doing what Sweden is doing, which is to shame masculinity, which is to distort men's idea of healthy masculinity and what actual personal responsibility and strength looks like, is only more likely to keep these men who are in the risk zone of remaining perpetrators so well as developing into ones. Let me quote a review of our official state policy. The truth is that when it comes to most major efforts to combat domestic violence in Sweden, scientific support has been lacking. Instead, the projects have been based on feminist theories without scientific backing. Take, for example, how Sweden's Board of Public Health made a study stating that many men who abuse their partners primarily have difficulties communicating, troubles showing emotion, and lack empathy to a certain degree. Half of the men in this study were themselves abused as children or saw their parents fight physically. All of these factors are obviously far more relevant in determining why a man could become a walking powder keg than your Twitter rants about guys you fucked in college. Furthermore, international studies confirm that men who batter their partners don't display any more patriarchal values than other men in general. Other common risk factors are mental illness, drugs, and alcohol. But despite these facts, Sweden's work against relationship violence is entirely based on the idea that masculinity is to blame, rather than considering actual genuine masculinity to be the cure to this ailment, to be the solution. No, instead of that, they consider the problem to be the shape of structures, norms, and patriarchal men. End of quote. And with all of this, you get a clear living example of how progressivism and feminism leaves men behind in a dark void of meaningless, painful, oh so highly painful existence. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't be like Sweden. Heed this warning and share it. I am your friendly neighborhood foreigner, and you can sponsor me and my work through Subscribestar, Bitcoin, Locals, and other options linked in the video description. They cancelled me on Patreon earlier this year, and it's been a very tough year financially, so I appreciate all the help that I can get. There's been a terribly sad development of freedom of speech on social media in the past years, and so I feel blessed to tell you about my new and only sponsor that's been helping me keep this channel afloat. All purchases from this website directly help me out and help keep this all going. So without further ado, here is CannabisLight.se, the finest quality CBD products in Northern Europe. EU-regulated, non-psychoactive hemp oil, as well as buds and muscle recovery cream for the athletes. No THC, 100% legal, and you get 15% off on all products if you use the code ARIBLATTE. I personally endorse this company due to the high quality of their products. I know the people involved, they're very serious, very knowledgeable, and they know what they're doing. Make this your regular CBD provider, and you'll know what you're doing as well.